And here, as you can see, we have a diagrammatic representation of the dispersal and allocation of important materials that mortals will use to reproduce themselves and feel good and protect themselves, as I have designed and presented thus. Mortal beings are essentially a repeating series of fundamental structures that branch out and create the rest of them. As you probably know, dendrithelial ionosis comes at ensa. Though due to the low structural diversity of a 1.25 GeV universe, there are insufficient structures, as you know, to maintain and create good complex life, and thus they're riddled with problems. One of which being that these structures that mortals are made of, that allow them to feel vital, that feel good, their metabolism, the more babies they have, the more they eat, the more they move, the more energy they expend, is part of what makes them feel vital and alive, as it is relevant to the political activities of mortals. Just around the time that the population of the mortals was going to increase dramatically, thus eat more food, have more babies, and so forth, these structures that provide the vitality occurred at the time that our Blood of the Lamb people and Dominion crowd were becoming powerful, and thus mortal kind has become enamored with them. But at this time, as you can see on this graph, we have an opportunity during this mass extinction event to correct this, to change this in the favor of Ares and our local war gods here. Between your annexation of the military, your kibosh on the resources, restricting them as we see fit, Dan Gregory's propaganda and subsequent command of the social capital, we might, if they all come together correctly, as demonstrated thus, we will be able to associate those groups, dominion, power, and the blood of the Lamb with death, and lessen their grip on the mortal world even further. Any questions? I have an idea where we go into the underworld, and we use you notice how all these mortals act like babies and drink milk and have retracted jawlines and worship fairy tales until they're dead, and I'm thinking that the sheer critical mass of interactions before, that predators drove mortal beings to live in groups, and that they were in so much contact that the abrasiveness of the solitariness of mortal kind was so much that infantilized people with their appearance that elicits good treatment for someone became prevalent, and now they're all baby-like. What if we went into the underworld? And how mortal beings are like piles. Let's take a level out. They need consistency, and by doing so we'll bring back the mortal adult, and they'll have a type of advantage and brutal power that became untenable when contacts between humans grew high in larger civilizations. And that'll be an interesting display for soldiers, I'm thinking. Perhaps you should save that till after we deliberate on this matter, Demos. Yeah, boy, pay attention. Yes. Though Demos did bring up an interesting point. Mortals need consistency. They are like piles. They, due to that 1.25 GeV low energy universe that I mentioned earlier, they're missing a lot of essential structures to make their life better, meaningful. Too good to be true and all that. You turn them upside down and you can already see them falling apart. They are best only in that one place, for their universe couldn't fix them up to be prepared for any other situation, or a lot of others. This parabola that you see on this graph will eventually kill them, which answers Ares' concerns of obeying Zeus's exsanguination order. Mortals, it is better for mortals to be one consistent state than fluctuate, as it has here on these maxima and minima, which will eventually comply with Zeus's orders. They will not be able to sustain that indefinitely, and they will eventually die from instability. However, it is at these maxima and minima that Aphrodite is likely going to attempt to intervene. That is when it will be easiest to disrupt the coordination of your military control over the power plants and the food, the farms, the roadways, and my specific allocations of all of the valuable materials that mortals require to survive and exist in the world. Yes, and I've put Phobos in charge of the anti-Aphrodite task force. When she comes, you'll be ready, right, boy? Yes, Father. Speaking of which, Dan, are you prepared to make that speech I told you to make yet? Yes. Simon, when is that speech scheduled for? In 2 hours and 45 minutes you'll be on, sir. Sire. Yes. Right, that is... We'll be ready soon, Phobos. Soon Dan Gregory will play his role in adjusting the social capital so that when the the population, and the fear and pain caused by the exsanguination reach the correct point, the effect of authority will be affected the way that we choose it to be, that their feelings of vitality will be at their lowest at Hermes' suggested maxima, and will undo and reverse the permanent association that will favor our authority. The hands of the good Dan Gregory, and the mortal world will be our playground. What about resurrecting the adults? I will require Deimos' assistance in this phase. I'll go to the underworld and begin the process of removing a layer to collapse the structures and bring back the primitive form of Africanized human that you speak of. Ah, sweet! Right, is there anything else we need to discuss? Well, that's all on my end. Dan? We're all good here. Right, boys? Yeah, I think we're about done here. Blast it all! I say we take a lunch break. I'm game. Phobos! Yes, Father. Did I tell you what your mother said to me? What did she say? She said that you have to allow mortals to be unjust to each other until they feel like treating each other better. Can you believe that? I believe it. Excuse me. And, hello there. Hey, champ, let me talk to you about something real quick. Yes, Hermes? Hermes? The messenger of the gods, if I understand correctly. Yes. There is a window of authority that occurs every so often. Though violence may be the key through this window or door. When this happens, mortal beings they change, and they accept a slightly different person as their authority, and over time, this affects who is allowed to abuse and mistreat others. Go on. They didn't want me to tell you this, but, Ares didn't give you your full authority. He gave you part authority. You've lived your life being without the ability to be treated as good as people with power. If you had been given your full authority, you'd be allowed to feel that you are worthy of being treated well, that you can give to the spirit of other people enough for them to want to help you and be nice to you. Ares fears that if you receive this authority, you would value human life and would fight just as they do to preserve it. And luck so has it that that window is coming up soon. And I was thinking maybe you'd want to know what it what it was like to be wanted and accepted by your kind. It sounds to me that you want me to spare the Earth. No, 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 no. All I'm saying is, you have options. Think about it. Hermes. Yes, boss. Bringing my species to justice is the right thing to do. It is wrong that we've been allowed to go without punishment, without destruction this long. And I don't appreciate being told that I need to experience being liked by others, so that I will like humanity enough to spare its life. I'm not sure how much you know about my kind, but mortal life on this planet is pure evil that only cares about power and dominion. And I want to see to it before I'm dead that I've disabled this great, overwhelming enemy that attempts to tell me that it is okay for them to take dominion over me and not okay for me to defend myself. Or anyone like me, for that matter. All right. I think I'll go for a walk. You're the king of Earth now, Dan. A prison of a different kind. And the best seat in the house.